Alex, here we are. It's great to have the grand final back. And we've got a fitting grand final. The top two, they've been the standout teams, Rockdale Ilinden, the premiers, Marconi Stallions, who finished second, the two most informed teams. Rockdale coming off 17 wins from their last 20. The Marconi Stallions, 11 from their last 13. So we're all set for a terrific contest, aren't we?
And this is why we wanted the grand final back, Tony. This is why the club's asked for it. Rockdale have beaten every team in the competition this season. They've proven themselves the most consistent, except for Marconi. So this is their big day. They're yet to show that they can do it on this big stage as well. Lost the Waratah Cup final earlier in the year to Apia. Lost their last grand final back in 2020 to Sydney United 58. They've shown they're the most consistent. Now can they be the best on the big day? And that's what we're looking forward to finding out over the next 90 minutes, 120 minutes, hopefully penalties. We see if we go all the way, Tony.
Yeah, and there's been so many storylines, I guess, in the build-up to this game. Most notably, of course, the games between these two sides. And at the moment, you've got to say Marconi probably have the edge in terms of the games between these two, that big 9-0 victory. What does that do to the psychology of Rockdale coming into this? They, of course, drew when they met at home earlier in the season, but the psychology for Rockdale, having won the premiership and trying to do the double here.
Well, as I just said, it's about proving they can do it on the big day. That 9-0 is still sitting very presently in their minds. Don't worry about it. We've talked to Paul D during the week. We've talked to some of the players about what a weird afternoon or evening that was. But also that they want to right that. They've started well in big games but haven't taken their chances. So whether they can do that will go a big way to seeing whether they can become champions this time for the first time since '84. But you've seen all these games between these two over the last couple of years, Tony. So why have Marconi had the wood over Rockdale?
Yeah, it's a fascinating subplot, this whole concept. And today we're here on grass as well. Marconi at home. And Marco Jesic spoke about it last week after the game against Blacktown City, their preliminary final win. And he reflected upon the fact that they play on grass week to week, whereas Blacktown play obviously on the synthetic, and it's the same with Rockdale. And when you look at the two results last year, Marconi came out of the gate. They got a 3-1 victory in the end against Rockdale at home. This year, the big 9-0 victory. So those two games both played at Marconi. We've also seen Rockdale, interestingly, in the Waratah Cup final over at Estrada. So for me, that's an interesting technical, sort of subplot to the match today, how they handle the turf here. But I think the starts, and we just touched upon that. So the starts for Marconi in both of those games. In fact, throughout the season, that's been their real hallmark. Their ability to score goals in the first 10 minutes and in the opening half has really laid the foundation. So how do you think, from a Rockdale perspective, they can handle the start today to maybe adjust things into their balance?
Well, they've got to match things. We've seen that Dean Pelikanos has come into the team. Alec Urashevsky, back from the hamstring injury. He was so impactful in the preliminary final last weekend. So they're two big ins for Paul D and Nick Stavroulakis. I think that's the first way they're going to try and counter that. Blake Rashuda going back into central defence alongside Daniel Collins. That's a very experienced core. Lachlan Griffiths removed and taken to the bench today. So I think that adjustment is going to be made. They've also got a new goalkeeper in there from last time, Nick Soros, who's been very solid since coming in. So they're going to rely on that defensive, hopefully added stability in the early stages, and then look to unleash what is such a lethal front line. When you talk about Sokat Taoka, you talk about Alek Urashevsky, you talk about Brendan Chalakian, who's going to be so key for Rockdale. And I'll ask you, Tony, because it's a midfield 3 against a midfield 2 we're expecting today. Do you think Chalakian will get the freedom that he's looking for? Is that an adjustment that Marconi are going to have to make?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, I think, from the start to see just how much Rockdale play. It is their DNA to try and play.
Yes.
But obviously we know about the press of Marconi. They go hard, and they really targeted Rockdale in that match. They targeted Blacktown last week, and it worked to great effect. So I'm really interested to see where Rockdale's early, sort of the way that they go about their football. Do they try and play through that midfield and try and find those pockets for Chalakian to maybe create a bit of space? Or do they maybe try and bypass that? It would go against their, template, what we're used to seeing from them. But given the impact of Marconi's press, it's going to be extremely fascinating to see that. I think one of the real interesting battles for me is out on Rockdale's right-hand side with Braden Sorge up against Dominic Costanzo. I call that box office every time those two meet. Are there any other battles you think are really worth watching out for today?
Well, I'm thinking at the back line, we're talking about the best striker in the competition, and Alec Urashevsky against his best defence. And Anton Mlinaric has been so good alongside Nathan Milgate playing his final game in NPL football today. So can he be sent off with a fairy tale? All questions to be answered to see who's lifting this thing at the end of the evening.
And it has been a little bit of a while between the two sides for Rockdale, 1984 the
Tony,
championship.
40 years.
Yeah. And obviously Marconi, we go back to 2012, the last time they lifted the top flight championship. So much at stake. We can't wait to bring it all, and we are certainly looking forward to this. Make sure you join us for all the coverage. It's not every day you get a 1 versus 2 showdown on grand final day. The two standout teams, two attacking powerhouses, and the 2024 NPL Men's New South Wales Grand Final between premiers Rockdale Ilinden and the Marconi Stallions promises to be a decider for the ages. Yes, hello and welcome to CommBank Stadium. Tony Tanous in commentary with you, live and exclusive on Football New South Wales YouTube. And I'm joined today for tonight's grand final by Alex Molchanov. Alex, what a culmination to the season this promises to be.
Absolute thrill to be here with you tonight, Tony. We've covered some big games over the last year or so. It's great to have grand final football back, and this is why we wanted it. 1 versus 2, Rockdale versus Marconi, the two most consistent teams all year, have proven themselves able to produce on the big occasion as they did last weekend. And now we get to see who can take all the chocolates home at the end of the night.
And so many storylines. We speak about the form of these two sides. Rockdale coming into this on the back of 17 wins from their last 20 matches. So they are in incredible form. They've obviously won the competition, by a 7-point margin. So a terrific team from them, and Marconi, 11 of their last 13. So we couldn't ask for a better stage. And the teams are now coming out. We've got the referees in Sam Kelly, along with his assistants in Cameron Wright, Patrick Telecki and Danny Horsted. And it's time to take a look at the lineups, and Alex will take you through those.
So 2 changes for Rockdale Ilinden from that 3-1 victory over Sydney United 58 on Sunday last week. Number 1 in goal is Nick Soros, a back 4 of number 14 Braden Sorge, number 2 Daniel Collins, number 22 Blake Risciuto shifts back with Lachlan Griffiths dropped to the bench, and number 5 Giorgio Speranza completing that back 4. In midfield, number 6 Isaac Danzo partners the goal scorer from last weekend, Dean Pelikanos, in the heart of that, with number 10 Brendan Chalakian playing at the point of the triangle, an attacking trident as well for Paul Dean. Number 77 Sok Kataoka off the left, number 11 Lachlan Constable off the right, and the talisman back in from the start tonight, Tony. Alec Urashevsky wearing number 7 and the captain's armband up front. No changes for the Stallions after that impressive win over Blacktown City. 6-2 was the score as they qualified for this grand final tonight at CommBank Stadium. In goal, number 1 James Hilton hasn't missed a minute of league football this season. Number 23 Brandon Vella starts at right back. Number 2 Nathan Milgate in his last game at NPL New South Wales level partners number 4 Anton Mlinaric in the heart of defence. Number 18 George Daniel is the left back. A midfield 4 for Peter Sakanis. Number 6 Dom Costanzo scored a brilliant goal last weekend. He starts on the left. Number 8 Daniel Bauman, and number 5 James Bayliss through the heart of midfield. Number 7 Franco Maya off the right, and number 10 Marko Jesic partnering James Timolkovsky. They have formed such a lethal duo up front this season, Tony. Those two teams get me very, very excited for the 90 minutes that we're about to see in front of us.
Yes, two of the most attacking sides. In fact, Rockdale Ilinden coming into this, having scored a whopping 76 goals throughout the campaign. Marconi Stallions not too far behind them on 70. They've got so much potency in the front to these two sides, and we are really looking forward to this. Can Rockdale Ilinden do what not many do and complete the double? It's only been done twice since 2007, on both occasions by Sydney Olympic in 2011 and 2018. And in fact, in 2011, Peter Sakanis, who's now the manager of the Marconi Stallions, was in fact the coach of Olympic who did that double. So many fascinating storylines. We can't wait for this one to get underway. Our two captains in Marko Jesic and Alec Urashevsky. And that big news around Alec Urashevsky, who missed last week's preliminary final. He came off the bench and had a massive influence in that 3-1 victory over Sydney United 58. But he gets in from the start today. He's the Golden Boot, 31 goals throughout the campaign on the back of 27 last year. And he is one of the sharpest shooters around Australian football. Marko Jesic, he also has a storied CV. He scored 19 for the campaign. He clocked up game number 250 last week, and this one is set to be an absolute blockbuster. We're just about set to get play underway. And the start to this game, there's so much interest around it, given the way that Marconi have been starting throughout season 2024. Rockdale have also had some good starts of late, but very interesting to see how this one shapes up in the early part of the match.
Very excited to see that, Tony, because as you say, Marconi have pulled off so many big results, pressing high, being aggressive from the first whistle. Rockdale have dominated their last two big games in the early stages, but not been able to find goals. That Waratah Cup final, they were in the ascendancy in the opening half hour, didn't take their chances and were punished for it by Apia Leichhardt. They managed to turn things around with the introduction of Juraszewski and Pelikanos and Bray Ovens last weekend. They won't want to be doing the same thing again. They want to get off to a hot start here against one of the hottest starting sides in the NPL New South Wales.
No changes for the Stallions there as they were last week against Blacktown. Rockdale Ilinden, they will kick us off in their traditional red and black, running from left to right. The crowd has come in late for this one. We've had a terrific women's NPL grand final ahead of this, and we are underway in the 2024 NPL men's grand final. Rockdale against Marconi, and it is Rockdale running from left to right. They've got those two changes with Dean Pelikanos dropping into the midfield, and that's necessitated a bit of a change. We've got a player down, and Sam Kelly has to go across, and it looks like it might be the left centre back in Anton Lenaric. And I wonder if that was a bit of a coming together. The referee has to stop play. We're expecting a frantic start. There's plenty of heat when these two sides usually come together. No love lost. They're sort of two teams that have been jostling at the top of the ladder, and an early moment. And
so much on the line for them tonight as well, Tony. We've talked about the 40 years since Rockdale's last top tier New South Wales grand final victory. Marconi have had to make their way back up from NPL 2 since their last grand final victory more than a decade ago. So it's the completion of a journey for both these squads, particularly under Peter Sekenis, who took Marconi back up, of course. And for Paul D, in just his second year in charge, this is a fine reflection of what he's been able to do with his squad. Never a start you want to see, though, although Anton Mlinaric is back to his feet now, and I'd be very, very surprised if a blow like that knocks him out of such a big game this early, Tony.
Yeah, tough central defender alongside Nathan Milgate. It's a massive game for Nathan Milgate, playing in his third grand final. He's hoping to finish on a winning way for the Stallions. Here's Rockdale taking it quickly with Juraszewski looking to take on Milgate, and it is going to be a free kick. The referee was right on the spot there as Juraszewski tried to take on Milgate, and it's a free kick in a wonderful position.
And there was going to be no love lost, plenty of sparks flying early in this game. Have a look at this replay. Juraszewski sliding in to try and win the challenge, and then flattened by Nathan Milgate. If he needed a test of that hamstring early, we might have just seen it. Never shy of a tackle, is he, Nathan Milgate?
It's going to be a free kick. And the two players over the ball. Gataoka and Juraszewski. James Hilton, the keeper for the Stallions, just getting a wall organised. There's 5 men in the wall. James Bayliss is just off that 5 as well. We've seen Juraszewski go direct. We're going to get an opener, an early goal in this one. The 2024 grand final. Ataoka leaves it for Juraszewski, who goes low. The wall stays in position. Sometimes you see that jump. This time they were happy to just stand in position. And now Temilkovsky trying to trigger a counter-attack. And Franco Mayer on that far side. too far away from making it all the way through to Maya. Another free kick, another whistle blow there.
Well, Sam Kelly's not going to have an easy night on his hands, is he, Tony? Every challenge seems to be drawing appeals from both sides. There's plenty of desire out there, as you'd expect in the early stages of a grand final. And Marconi showing quickly that they want to get forward quickly when they do win back possession. Rockdale have got to be very, very careful in their rest defence. They were hurt by Apia there in the Waratah Cup final a couple of weekends ago. And Aiden Milisevic's goal early in the preliminary final came from a counter-attack.
Here's Costanzo. Soros comes out, goes for the punch. Costanzo's deliveries were such a central part of that 9-0 victory back in the middle of June. On occasion, the flag did go up, so free kick to Rockdale, but watch out for Costanzo. In fact, the set pieces for both of these sides are going to be key points, with Costanzo for Marconi, Kataoka, Chalakian for Rockdale. That 9-0 victory has been such a talking point ahead of this match, and I guess throughout the season, a real anomaly according to Paul D. It was a day where every result around that has been so good for Rockdale, but that day in particular was clearly, things didn't work out for them.
Only lost one game in the league after that, Tony, so it shows you how they responded. They were fantastic the weekend after. I did their game at Blacktown just a couple of days after that loss, but they've started better here. Not hard to do, but they have started in a better fashion. Another coming together.
That looks like it might be out on that right-hand side. Another physical challenge. Rockdale, no doubt, some of the messaging out of the game ahead of this game was to make sure that they didn't concede early, and that's no doubt been, for Paul D, a big factor to make sure that they're physically up for this.
So Daniel Bauman flying in there. He's been the man flattened out. So that's a couple of Marconi players brought down and having to be checked on. We haven't got the frantic start we were expecting because of that, Tony. The couple of stoppages we've seen early, the players flying into challenges. Sam Kelly's had to blow his whistle a couple of times for free kicks already. It's just taken a little bit of pace out of the early stages of this grand final.
Kelly's going to come across, restart play with a drop ball. It's been a frantic beginning as far as fouls are concerned. A couple of aerial challenges, Mlinaric on the end of one, and now Bowman. So Mlinaric gets it down and launches it long, looking for Jesic. Prosciutto, the experience, this time starting alongside, and there's another incident there with Jesic, and it's a quick coming together. This is exactly what we expected. There's been a lot of fire between these two sides, and they're really trying to impose themselves early on in the grand final.
Not kidding. And it was Marco Jesic all seemed a little bit unnecessary. Cause that coming together. Don't know whether that was just to establish himself early. If we see the replay here, that pull over the top, perhaps unlucky or unhappy that Collins had blocked him off initially, and then just goes right through the back of Blake Prosciutto, who's been in a situation like that often enough to know that going down is the best option. And Marco Jesic has just gone into Sam Kelly's notebook, the first from either side to see yellow tonight.
Discipline's going to be a key today. Certainly don't want any red card incident that sort of shifts the momentum early on. It's been a physical start to this one. Both sides trying to gain ascendancy and gain control. Here's Temelkovsky picking up the loose ball. Really just happy to reset here through Mlinaric. Shoot away. Taroka looks forward to Urushevsky. And now the opportunity to go quickly. Chalakian finds Urushevsky. The flag stays down. And now we can go at Mlinaric, but the recovery was excellent from Brandon Ferrer. It looked like that initially, but the whistle has gone. It's going to be a free kick in a good area for Rockdale Ilinden. What about the ball from Chalakian?
Well, we've talked about the combination between Chalakian and Urushevsky in the past and how important that is. Mlinaric just squaring up to Alek Urushevsky after that as well. Emotions running very, very high in the early stages here, Tony. And still they're going in the box.
Got a roving reporter today, Will Constantinides. We'll go down to him shortly. We'll wait for this free kick to be taken. It's been a feisty start to the match. Not even 10 minutes in, no score yet. But incidents aplenty for referee Sam Kelly to have to deal with.
And he's going to have no choice here, Tony, but to start pulling cards out of his pocket just to calm some tempers, and that's exactly what he's done. Lachlan Constable into the book.
It's one from each side now. Constable joining Yesic and Kelly's book. We're going to see Kataoka, the Japanese import, who's provided so much quality, particularly in the second half of 2024 from the set pieces. If you haven't seen too much of number 77 for Rockdale, you can certainly put a ball on a plate. James Hilton just having to organise his wall. He's certainly building around Combank Stadium as Kataoka. He get the scoring underway. He puts it into a dangerous area looking for Collins. Now picking up the loose ball is Pelikanos. Looking for Urushevsky. Can Pelikanos keep it in? Not quite. We will go down to the sideline. Will Konstantinides, welcome to the coverage. What a frantic opening 10 minutes.
Guys, it's been great down here at pitchside. I reckon I've got the best seat in the house because the intensity down here is exactly what you would expect from a grand final. Both benches firing up over those off-the-ball exchanges. I'm right down here near the Marconi bench, and Peter Tsakenis, he felt that his side probably should have had a few fouls go their way with a few high boots, and that all came to a boiling point with that Marco Jesic off-the-ball incident. This one's really intense, and it's really feisty.
Thank you to Will Konstantinides. We'll throw down to him throughout the coverage. One of our NPL New South Wales commentators throughout the season does a terrific job. He's providing the insights from down on ground level. And certainly down there at the moment, you can feel that atmosphere.
Both sets of fans making a superb noise. You said they came in late, Tony. They did. That Rockdale committee bay is almost full, and Marconi have got a very similar amount sitting behind their little banner that's come in front, and they're hoping to have something to cheer here.
Here's Costanzo, the central defenders, Millgate. Wouldn't it be a fitting way for him to bow out if he can get himself a goal in a grand final? Costanzo's deliveries over the last 3 years for the Stallions have been right on point. This one cut out by Rockdale, who can look to go quickly. And this link-up between Chalakian and Urushevsky has been one of the real features for Rockdale in season 2024. Chalakian, who's playing in his third grand final, can you believe, was part of the Marconi side that won in 2012. He was a youngster back then, but 12 years later he's looking to deny Marconi a title and win his third NPL top tier championship. Here's Suris. What an acquisition he's been since the transfer window. Now Constable looking to bring it down. Rockdale will look to get it down and play their passing football. They do love to possess the ball, knock it around quickly through the midfield. Marconi trying to disrupt them. This game's starting to settle down perhaps.
Well, that's one word for it, Tony. Certainly the fire has gone out of the early exchanges, but I think the intensity will stick with us for a while yet. Perfect night for football, just above 20 degrees at kick-off, and pitch looking a picture as it did for the women's game before this. It's held up nicely. A beautiful surface for these two talented attacking teams to try and utilise this evening.
George Daniel quickly shut down by Lachlan Constable. The storyline around both of these clubs, the freshness that they've been able to inject with some youngsters sprinkled in amongst the experience core. Is Temukovsky, one of the new acquisitions for Marconi this year after his exploits in the South Australian National Premier League. Mayer was trying to get it in, wrestling away Jesic and Rashudo. The free kick goes in the favour of the Rockdale central defender.
Marco Jesic has got to be very careful here. He's trying to be physical, he's trying to establish himself on the game, but he's got the attention of the referee, which is something you never want, particularly when you're already on a yellow card. He's just got to make sure he keeps his head here. Marconi need their skipper on the field for the link-up that he's provided this year with Temukovsky. In their first year together, not only have they got the bulk of Marconi's goals between them, but they've been able to set each other up for some key ones as well. So To that, we've talked about Chalakian and Urashevsky's link-up play down the other end. The front two for Marconi are just as deadly.
Pressed by Urashevsky, who's showing plenty of speed with his press in the front third. That hamstring injury which he suffered after scoring his second against Central Coast Mariners in round 30, his 31st goal of the season. Straight after that, you could see him gesture to the Rockdale bench. Came off the bench last week, so a massive storyline about whether he'd start. Looks like there is some strapping around that right hamstring of his. Rockdale will be hoping their main man can do the business as he has throughout the season. There's that link again with Chalakian. This time though, Urashevsky can't make it stick. George Daniel was in sharply. Loose ball in the midfield. Chalakian quickly onto him was Bayless, but illegally so. And Bayless is going to go into the book. He becomes the second Marconi player booked. You can't quite believe that. Right onto Chalakian, central player today, alongside Daniel Bowman, with no Hiroaki Oyama. The news around him, who was a key player for Marconi in that midfield. He moved to Perth Glory in the transfer window. Filling in for him was Liam Yulee, who had just come back from 12 months out, and he suffered another knee injury. So James Bayless, who himself has had injury issues this season, a dislocated shoulder, back in round one for the recruit from the Central Coast Mariners. It's been good from a Marconi perspective to have him back in the last couple of months.
Perfect timing. He's been like a new signing, hasn't he, for Peter Sekenis? And it speaks to the depth that Marconi have been able to build in their squad this season. It's probably something that's taken them to the next level from the past couple of years, where they've been there or thereabouts, but just not able to push right up towards the top end of the table. Managed to change the narrative on that in 2024 somewhat, and championship here would be the crowning glory, but they've got some defending to do.
Chalakian looking across for Kataoka. It was a lovely touch. The first one from Urashevsky in behind. And that combination, again, he's looking very lively in the opening 15 or so minutes. So quite fun, Kataoka. Here's Dancer. Really is the metronome. His second season at Rockdale. They try and get forward quickly. Then Chalakian posed the question, could he find space in the centre of midfield? So far, he is finding a few pockets and looking quickly and immediately to Urashevsky.
Question for Rockdale is, can they make the most of this early dominance? It's a question we posed in the pre-game, Tony. And at the moment, starting to tick towards the halfway mark of this first half. Yet to find the back of the net, yet to really force James Hilton into a meaningful save.
He's Constable to link up with Pelikanos, but his opposite number in Bowman. Now up against Danso. Danso trying to play it forward, not quite on the same wavelength. Yesic was looking for that one into feet. Here's Chalakian looking to turn and find space, and that early ball again for Urashevsky. This time Hilton alert to it. See the intent every time he gets to the feet of Chalakian. He's looking to turn face forward and hit Alec Urashevsky.
He's the man those fans have come to see. No doubt about that, Tony. It's going to be interesting. He's covered a lot of ground already trying to make those runs in behind. We're going to see just how healthy that hamstring is as this game wears on.
Stallions. This time he stays back.
Hasn't been the usual Marconi start that we've seen in these big games, has it, Tony? It's been very stunted. A lot of the credit must go to Rockdale for that, but also not been quite able to get into their rhythm because of that. Not been able to provide the usual service to James Timilkovsky and Marko Jesic just yet.
Being the front runners in season 2024, particularly in the second half of the campaign, the Marconi Stallions. Suffered a couple of losses back in round 18 and 19 against Spirit and Sydney Olympic, which threatened to derail their season. Didn't they hit back emphatically after that with wins against Apia and then that 9-0 over Rockdale. As the ball comes in, looking for Jesic. So 11 wins from their 13 games since those 2 losses as they get on the front foot here. And Franco Mayer looks to fire. Not far away. Perhaps Marconi's best moment so far. Franco Mayer, who's been a new recruit for them this season, moving across from St George City. And what a stellar campaign he has produced.
And he doesn't need a second invitation when he comes in on that left foot, does he, Tony? Look at him ride the 2 challenges there. And there was half a thought that he might have found Temelkovski and Jesic, but I think all these rights to have a crack on goal, given some of the efforts that he's been able to muster over the course of the season. That was better from Marconi. Shifted the ball from one side to the other quickly. Allowed one of their talented wingers to really get at Rockdale's defence for the first time tonight.
Mayer playing a more advanced role at Marconi. We were familiar to seeing him as a wing-back for St George City under Mirko Jurjev last season. He certainly made an impression in the front third as part of Marconi's 4-2-2-2 formation. Trying to get a bit of control for the Stallions, and Vela looks forward. He's got Jesic covered. Rockdale certainly, when you look at this game and the way that Marconi have been disrupting opposition, and you wondered whether Paul D would maybe send a message to the team around that playing out from the back and making sure that they don't risk passes into channels which Marconi love to pinch the ball.
Well, and you're seeing Urasevsky is sitting right on the last man at all times. He's not really getting too involved in the build-up play as we sometimes see him do. He did it very well against Sydney United. The instruction's very clear. Make him the outlet. See how quickly Rockdale can move the ball forward to try and catch Marconi out in transition.
In the way here is Chalakian. And he looks immediately to go forward. Constable gives George Daniel a bit of work to do. Initial heated opening 10 minutes or so. A lot of aerial physical challenges. Football is starting to settle down now. In a sense that might actually suit Rockdale. They do like to possess the ball.
It's just not allowed Marconi to get into their rhythm whatsoever in terms of being able to knuckle down and put pressure on Rockdale. They've not given them that opportunity either, playing a lot of those long direct balls, but we're now into a bit of the tactical arm wrestle, which I know you love, Tony. But it means that the game is going to be decided by which manager can outwit the other as much as what's happening between the players on the field. There are plenty that can produce that moment of magic, but at the moment, defence winning out over attack, very much so.
Rockdale generally a team that do love to play through the midfield, but you can see quite a few times Blake Prosciutto not shy in just knocking it beyond the midfield and to go quickly to Urashevsky. So they know all about Marconi's ability to disrupt and rebound with the high press. Here they are, Marconi trying to play in the front third. They're looking for Jesic. Covering that was one of the most experienced defenders going around. It's been a long time between drinks for Giorgio Speranza as far as grand finals are concerned. He had 4 in a row between 2013 and 2016 for 2 wins and 2 losses, but he's delighted to be back on the big stage. Winner twice with Blacktown City, a former Marconi player as well, so plenty of good storylines around. Fortunately, no Robbie Speranza, who has succumbed to another knee injury and made the move across from Marconi after 5 years.
Robbie wouldn't they love to have Robbie there tonight? It would be the perfect central defensive partner for Daniel Collins in a game like this, but Blake Prosciutto's been drafted in there again. He's played that role plenty of times over the course of the season. Started well, up in direct opposition against Marko Jesic, who's really not been able to get into the game in an attacking sense in the opening 23 minutes or so.
Straight on to Urashevsky, and there's a bit going on in the back play as well, with Mlinaric staying down after that challenge. The referee has to have eyes in the back of his head at the moment. Sam Kelly is going to check on Mlinaric.
It's another coming together between those two, Tony.
We've got to be careful. As we said earlier on in the coverage, we don't want to see any red card incident, but we will go down to Will Konstantinidis with an update from down on the sideline.
Yeah, guys, that one happened right in front of me. A bit of an off-the-ball coming together between Urashevsky and Mlinaric. I think Urashevsky was trying to go over the top, make that run in behind the defence, and Mlinaric wasn't going to make it easy for him. Cameron Windust, he's warmed up a couple times now. This is the second time that Mlinaric has gone down, so we'll see how far he goes with his fitness from now on.
Good spot from Will down on the sideline. Windust, one of the substitutes available to Peter Tsakenis, will take you through the substitutes for both sides. Patrick Williams is the reserve keeper for Marconi. Cameron Windust, one of the outfield players available, along with Cole Chimenti, Yuki Kitano, Miloslav Popovic, and Mateo Bushek. They're the substitutes for the Marconi Stallions. For Rockdale, on the other hand, Ricardo Rizzo is their reserve keeper. They've also got Lockie Griffiths, Bay Antonio, Yinka Sunmola, Bray Ovens, who's been in wonderful goal-scoring form the last couple of weeks, and Hunter Elliott, as Rockdale look to get this one in. Chasing, that was Constable. Now Sorge can knock it down to Dansaw. Good ball in behind, Urashevsky on the right foot. It's perhaps Rockdale's best moment of the match so far. Comes after 25 minutes. A great feed from the metronome, Dansaw, into the 18-yard box, and Urashevsky on that right foot tried to turn on that quickly.
Just given too much space on the edge of the area coming out from the set piece, and Danso's one who can play that sort of pass in behind the defence. Urashevsky on his less favoured right foot didn't quite steady himself before he was able to strike it, but you're right, Tony. Rockdale's best chance of the match so far comes 25 minutes into its first half.
And here is Urashevsky again. This time the flag has gone up. Mlinaric was right onto him in any case. That's a battle to certainly keep an eye out on. A real battle between the number 4 for the Marconi Stallions. You can see them just getting back up. And with Rockdale's skipper, who's such a key man. No doubt much of the game planning from the Marconi Brains Trust would have been about trying to nullify Urashevsky in any which way they can.
And Mlinaric has been the man tasked with trying to do that. He's got to be very careful. Urashevsky's a player well known for trying to get in the heads of opposition players. Mlinaric, usually a pretty mild-mannered player for a centre-half, but you can see that the battle is affecting him somewhat mentally at the moment, so got to make sure he keeps his focus as this first half wears on.
Here's Rashudo. He breaks that midfield line. Chance to create the overload now on that left-hand side. The flag has gone up. Cameron Wright, our assistant referee on this near side, right on the spot in the second grand final here at Combank Stadium. He was part of that grand final in season 2022 where Blacktown City had the victory over Manly United. Of course, no grand final last year. We had first past the post, but finals football back in season 2024. And it's been a hit. There's been some wonderful finals football action. And we've got a grand final, the fitting of the season, the top two. As Constable looks for the quick switch out. Again, Urashevsky, this time getting the better of Millgate. Cute angle. He looks for the cutback. No one coming in. And he was asking where was the support from midfield. It was a great switch out though from Constable.
And once again, Urashevsky's looking to make those runs to the left-hand side, recognising he's got the legs to beat Millgate in a foot race. Been breaking away to that side. You saw him time his run a little bit better. And just looking for the support in the middle. I think Chalakian will be a couple of steps ahead of where he was there if that sort of ball over the top happens again.
Here's the corner now. Kataoka for the in-swinger. This one's towards Collins at the back post. Speaking of that 2022 grand final, part of that winning Blacktown City side, they made the move across last year during the transfer window. His experience could be crucial for Rockdale in trying to limit the influence of Temelkovski and Jesic. Now Daniel looks long. Getting across. It's an excellent ball too to Chalakian. Every time he gets the ball, you can see the intent. He looks straight in behind the Marconi back four for that run of Rudashevsky.
He's an experienced enough player, Brendan Chalakian, so sure the instructions are present in his mind to try and play into Rudashevsky at every possible situation. But he's got to make sure that he's playing what's in front of him as well. A little bit of a blind pass there. Rockdale succeeding in finding him fairly regularly though, and that's a point of concern for Marconi in these early stages.
Between these two sides and the early goals, I think Rockdale will be pretty pleased that they haven't conceded. They're starting to get a bit of control. There's really been a couple of half opportunities for the Stallions in the opening half hour so far. So positive signs for the Premiers. They're struggling to really make those passes stick at the moment.
What we're seeing at the moment as well, there's not much ball in play. Talk about the forensic start. There has been, from a refereeing perspective, Sam Kelly's had a lot to deal with, but that means the ball hasn't actually been in play for that much of the opening half hour, which has favoured Rockdale. It's allowed them to nullify the high press of Marconi to some extent. It's meant they've been able to work their way forward more methodically, try and put the pressure on Marconi from set pieces and the like. And Rudashevsky, of course, we know he only needs a moment, only needs one chance tonight, and could decide this game.
Some influence now in the centre of midfield. This time cut out by Bayliss. Does well to read the play from Dancer. Vela finds a bit of room, hasn't had too much opportunity to venture forward in the opening half hour. Through Minaric. Tracks off Chalakian. Possession here for the Stallions. Over the top, Temelkovski's the target, and now they've suddenly got it in the area they want it with Temelkovski. He tries the Rabona cross. Now Costanzo trying to pick up the loose ball, cut out by his opposite number in Danso. Now Daniel defending from Collins. What about the audacity there from Temelkovski? We haven't seen him in too much space in the front third.
Player so full of confidence because of his goal scoring record this season, Tony. He's been able to pick out some beautiful passes. The one against Sydney United in that derby comes to mind.
Constable had to knock it back to Sorge, one of the most experienced defenders going around the National Premier League scene. Now in his 8th year at Rockdale after joining in 2017. Only two players that was part of the Rockdale Grand Final back in 2020. They suffered a dramatic penalty shootout loss to Sydney United 58. An epic Grand Final that was. It finished 3-3. United coming away with the victory, that one at Marconi Stadium, as Jesic not quite on the same wavelength there with Temelkovski. They have had quite the telepathy, in fact, the front four with Maya Costanzo. Clearly with that 11 game-winning run from their last 13. Work here from Kataoka, and what about the quality on the delivery? The flag has gone up. Rudashevsky's put it away. He can't quite believe it. He's going to go into the book as well for his reaction. Kataoka was the player who opened it up with a delightful ball in behind, but Rudashevsky's been playing right off the shoulder.
Just have a look at the replay here. He's got that spot on, Cam, right? He's perfectly positioned. Just moving a moment too soon, but the danger is there for Marconi. They'll need to make adjustments if I don't want to cop the first goal of this grand final. Alek Urashevsky is finding his way off the shoulder of the defence a little too often, I'm sure, for Peter Sekenis' liking. How about the skill from Son Kataoka? He's not a player we've seen too much of yet in this grand final, but winning out in that 50-50 with Brandon Vella, and then the awareness to fire that ball in early gave Urashevsky a very good chance if he'd been able to hold that run just a second longer.
Kataoka, one of our recruits this season from, you see so much across the National Premier League, from Japan, from a J-League 3 player, now in his early 30s, but what an addition he has been. His quality from set pieces and general play technique become a fixture since the absence of Cordier in particular.
Well, that's just gone to the point I was about to touch on, Tony. Telepathic understanding up here as well, but that's a role that they've had a couple of bodies move through over the course of the season. So, started the season playing more often in central midfield. The injury to Mathieu Cordier has seen him be drafted in that position. He's done a terrific job over the closing stages of this season. Paul D talked about the depth that Marconi have been able to build under Peter Sekenis. You can say the same of Rockdale, and it's been able to sustain their charge even when they have copped the injury problems. Braden Sorge has spent time out of the side. Blake Rashudo's not been fit the whole way through. Alek Urashevsky obviously out last week with the hamstring injury from the start. They were able to bring in Yinka Samola, who was very close to opening their account on that day. Dean Pelikanos has spent time out, so it takes a whole squad to take a team to this sort of position, playing in a grand final. Rockdale have got contributions from every single one of them.
He's got to look at the target again, trying to keep Vella engaged in a defensive way. Still, Brandon Vella has been
still only 26, Tony, if you can believe that. More than 250 appearances for the club now.
His debut back in 2015 for the Stallions when they were in the second tier after their 2012 victory. It was a difficult period for the Stallions. They dropped down to the second tier for a couple of years. The former National League champions on 4 occasions. They had a dip. Peter Sekenis and Peter Popoithis have brought them back up. They've been building steadily, finishing 4th in season 2023. 9 points the better in season 2024, finishing 7 behind Rockdale. Got some defensive work to do here. From a set piece, Shooter has popped up some crucial goals. Crucial headed goals in season 2024. It's one of those up there. Daniel Collins is a tall presence as well. It's over the head of Rashudo. He'll go comfortable there. Here's Chalakian trying to find a bit of space for the cross. It makes its way all the way across to Rashudo. And now Kataoka. Clear onto him was Vella. And the clearance comes. Being pressed by Timokovsky, and Soros to make sure that one went forward quickly. Speak about the history, Marconi, and their history here in particular at Parramatta. 4-time NSL champions. They played 4 grand finals here at Parramatta in a 6-year period between 1988 and 1993. Won 3 of those. And such a proud history. They really were the halcyon days. And it is great to see the Stallions back on the New South Wales grand final stage.
There's a terrific total. There's a bit of symmetry between these two clubs in terms of Rockdale Ilinden's last championship back in 1984 at the top tier. I've got a couple down in NPL 2, or the Super League as it was called then since, but the 1984 victory where they came from behind twice against Inter Monaro, played at Marconi Stadium.
Here's Costanzo. This battle that we spoke about in the build-up, one-on-one. Costanzo finally gets a bit of room and a chance to get the delivery in. And there's a decision, as Jesic thought that he was challenged illegally there. The keeper came out, there was a defender in the mix as well. but it was the work of Costanzo, one-on-one against Sorge. We haven't seen that throughout the first half. A moment of magic there, and it almost set up a key moment for the Stallions.
You see as you say, Tony, brilliant touch from Costanzo just to open up the pitch, and Soros, he's second there, but slight contact with Jesic. He's well within his rights to try and win the ball there, the goalkeeper. Marconi understandably disappointed, but I don't think you'll find too many referees around Australia or New South Wales that would have given that a penalty kick, particularly in such a big game as this is.
There's a bit going on down on the benches. We are going to throw down to Will to get an update on what we're hearing from the respective benches.
Well, what we're hearing now is certainly less than friendly exchanges between the benches. Marconi, they felt that Marko Jesic had his head taken off, those are their words, not mine, by the keeper who came out. Although in Rockdale, they felt that you got to give the advantage to the keeper, and there was a few swear words in between all of that. I've been listening to the benches, keen on what they've been saying. For Rockdale, they've had to really marshal the midfield. That's been the key battle for them. A signal given to Dean Pelikanos that he's been driving forward a bit too much. They want him pushing back there and holding as a defensive midfielder. As for Marconi, they want to try and get James Temelkovski into the game a bit more. They've been coaching him through different positions, trying to get him on the right side of the defender from their perspective, try and make use of that front four that they have.
So much interesting work going down on the benches. I guess both teams really trying to get the control of the match at the moment. It's in that holding pattern. We haven't seen too much of Marconi, but that was a real good insight there into what they're capable of when they get it forward.
It's just those moments. You feel that this is a game as it wears on, Tony, that it's going to be decided by a player that's able to grasp a moment like Dominic Costanzo was there. And Marko Jesic actually managing to get to the ball ahead of the goalkeeper. Lucky not to steer it on target. And probably still having a word with Danny Horsted about he wasn't awarded something for his efforts in the box. But it's been a terrific start. Both teams really going for it and fully committed to the cause tonight. Why wouldn't they be with so much on the line?
Possession in the middle of the park. Bowman's the player that comes away with it and can spit it out to that right-hand side for Vella to drive forward. Mayer available further wide. That's where he looks to go. But quickly doing that work in defensive transition. Excellent work out of that midfield. Just heard from Will, the coaches of Rockdale, asking Pelikanos to get back and do that defensive work alongside Dunsall. And we saw that to great effect there.
And he probably does just provide a little bit more of a screen than Blake Rashudo does in front of the defence. Rashudo tends to be a little more forward focused when he is playing in that central midfield role. Pelikanos coming across and screening his defence wonderfully well, right in front of the Rockdale Ilinden supporters, who gave him a great hand there, creating a terrific noise inside Combank Stadium at the minute.
Hofsky goes down, and he's going to be a free kick. This one's going to be against Daniel Collins. And the judgment is that the arm might have been raised there on the striker for the Marconi Stallions. Another moment, another yellow card.
Who'd be a referee? What a game that Seb Kelly has got to control in the middle here. He'll give us some look. Yeah, he's trying to get his arm across Daniel Collins. I don't think there's anything untoward in it, but certainly when you make contact with an opposition player's face, the referee has no choice but to make a decision.
I'll make it a couple of yellow cards to each team. Daniel Collins now joining Lachlan Constable. I think Alec Urushevsky's the other one for Rockdale already in the book. Goes into the box, and now Bayless will keep it alive in a forward area for the Stallions. That time Franco Mayer committing the foul.
Just a little overzealous, but this is where Marconi want to win the ball up high, and they're happy to take risks. Trying to nick the ball off their opposition. We haven't seen them be able to do it too often, Tony. So much of that because Rockdale are not choosing to build up from the back. They're happy to go so direct, and so negating one of Marconi's greatest strengths, which is the intensity of their high press. Haven't seen too much of it in this grand final.
Nick Stavroulakis along with Vedran Jaganchak, the brains trust at Rockdale, coming up with the game plan to try and limit the influence of the Marconi high press, which has been a real talking point throughout the season. Not many teams have been able to nullify them. They are just trying to build up now the Stallions. See if they can get it into the final third through a build-up phase. But again, Rockdale are able to cut it out. Move the ball quick through Pelikanos, who plays it out to Constable. They have a real good understanding, former teammates at the Western Sydney Wanderers Academy. You often see that telepathy throughout the Rockdale phases of play. Narashudo, have welcomed him back after 5 or so years in the Singaporean League. What a return it's been. One of their favourite sons. He's popped up with some big moments. Get it forward now to Urushevsky, who's got a bit of room, and he tries to whip that one across. Mlinaric was in the way. Following up, Pelikanos couldn't quite latch onto that. Tried that first time volley. Again, some good signs for Urushevsky, finding another pocket of space in the 18-yard box.
Again, are coming together as the ball came out of play. That was such an awkward height for Dean Pelikanos in goal-scoring form after getting that all-important second for Rockdale Ilinden last week. Costanzo ever shy of getting into a bit of a battle. Almost comical, that little coming together, wasn't it, Tony? Certainly giving me a smile up here.
There's a lot of intensity out there, that's for sure.
Yes.
Half-time is looming. We are almost into stoppages in this first period. Our fourth official today, the experienced Danny Horsted, who certainly has a task ahead of him to keep the respective benches under control. As things stand, no score yet. We've spoken about the start to this match and how important it was for Rockdale. As the board does go up to indicate 5 additional minutes. There's been a lot of stop-start in this first period.
Absolutely, most of it been under the referee's whistle because of coming together. Really in the opening 10 minutes was when the game was at its highest, maybe boiling point. It's simmered down a little bit since then, but certainly there's been an underlying tension to this one. I think the referees, as well as maybe the two benches, will be happy to get back to the sheds.
Here's Sorge coming forward. We haven't seen this too often in the first period. He's being tasked with the responsibility of making sure Costanzo doesn't influence. But he does have a propensity. We saw that last week, in fact, as that second half went on. He started to really get forward. Such an experienced figure. Yet to taste victory on grand final day as part of the Sydney Olympics 2014. Lost to Blacktown City, and then in 2020 that loss by Rockdale to Sydney United 58. Quickly on to Chalakian again was Mlinaric. Now Costanzo with a good feed to Temelkovsky. Gets a bit of room, chance to duck inside. Great technique, and now he looks for Jesic. Good counter-attacking moment for the Stallions, but they weren't quite able to connect.
It's very clear what both sides' plans are when they win the ball back in transition. They're looking direct for the two danger men, and Urasevsky and Marko Jesic, the two big names, and tasked by both their teams with finding the moment that can turn the game for their team. No surprises there, Tony.
Alex, as we do head towards half-time, an opportunity for the coaches just to address a few things ahead of the second half. What do you think the message might be from the respective managers?
Well, I think Marconi want to see the ball in play more. It's been 2 stop-start. They've been happy to get involved with some of the extracurriculars that Rockdale have been drawing them into. I know Peter Sekenis wants his team to be up for the fight, but I think maybe the focus has been diverted there a little too much. As for Rockdale, they've just not been able to release Urasevsky and Chalakian quite as much as they were in the early stages. That was really the basis for their dominance of the opening 15-20 minutes of this game. That's eased off a little bit as Marconi been able to get their foot on the ball and find Temelkovsky and Jesic a little more regularly. So they'll want to be finding that outlet. And Urasevsky, not sure he's moving quite freely yet, Tony. I'll be interested to see how long he lasts in the second half. I don't think he's got 90 minutes in the legs tonight.
An opportunity perhaps to create something in stoppage time in the first half. They're in a high position here. Haven't seen that too often. Numerous bodies in the front third. Create a bit of interchange. Rockdale just happy to drop off here and let them have the ball. Great switch of play from Costanzo.
Isn't he growing into this game?
Finds Mayer. He ducks inside on the left foot. Chance to whip it in. What an opportunity! Temelkovski it is, and he opens the scoring. A wonderful delivery from Franco Mayer. And that ball with the switch of play from Costanzo. Temelkovski has come to New South Wales wanting to make a statement. He's spoken about it all season, and what a time to produce it.
We spoke about them getting the ball forward towards he and Jesic. More and more as their second half wore on. Rockdale again finding themselves down a goal after dominating the early stages. Beautiful build-up from Marconi, and the switch of play from Costanzo is an absolute magic one. Franco Mayer summing up the situation well, getting the ball back onto his left foot, which is the one he loves, ducking inside a couple, and just the most gorgeous weight on that cross. And James Temelkovski, when he's presented with those sorts of opportunities, he's made a habit of scoring them. He's popped up on the biggest day to draw first blood for the Marconi Stallions here.
He scores goal number 18 of the season. What a time to do it. Deep into stoppages in the first period. If you know your football history in Australia, you know about a former Maltese, in fact, a former Macedonian striker for the Marconi Stallions in Zlatko Nestevski. He scored the winning goal here in 1989 in a grand final against Sydney Olympic. Well, we've got a young player of Macedonian extraction, James Temelkovski, a former Rockdale Ilinden player as a junior, and he's popped up on the biggest stage of New South Wales football to give the Stallions a 1-0 lead.
In the shadows of half-time, doesn't that change the team talk for Paul D? And for the second game in a row, Rockdale are going to have to come from behind if they want to lift the trophy.
What a time for the Stallions to produce the opening goal. It's been a game of a first half, in fact, which has been stop-start right throughout. A difficult one for the officials to control. Rockdale speaking to the officials at the moment. And the storylines as this game goes on continue to develop, but the Stallions have taken the lead and shown all their qualities. A great delivery from Franco Mayer and the execution from Temelkovski sees us going to the half-time break with Marconi up by 1-0. And we've spoken about them being the front runners, and it's all ahead of Rockdale, who throughout season 2024 have shown their resilience throughout. They've shown their ability to win games late. So this is not over by any stretch, but we're going to have a break and be back with all the second half action. Make sure you stick around on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. And it is a welcome back to Combank Stadium, the 2024 NPL Men's New South Wales Grand Final. Tony Tanous and Alex Molchanov in commentary with you. If you're just joining us, it's been a wonderful, absorbing first half, a real physical battle for control between the two sides. And the Marconi Stallions opened it up in stoppage time. An 18th goal of the season from James Temelkovsky against a former club of his, and what a storyline that's building. Alex, the second half is set to be an absolute blockbuster. Going to be very interesting to see Rockdale, who've had a history of chasing things from behind in season 2024. It's been their resilience and their ability to win games late and come from behind. So that's going to be a fascinating backdrop to this second half. Marconi, on the other hand, they've been the omnipresent front runners in season 2024. So let's see how this second half pans out. Marconi running from left to right in their traditional green and white. They have had to change their red socks today due to the clash, but those colours are familiar to those of you who followed this club, which dates back to the late 1950s. They've got the perfect start. Alex, how does this second half look, and what do you think Rockdale, the message from Paul D may have been?
Well, it was, I think, to go back to the basics that had made them so successful in the opening 15 or 20 minutes, finding Alek Rudashevsky as much as possible, keeping control of their actions through midfield. They want to see players like Giorgio Speranza and Braden Swooge get forward a little bit more if they're able to, but the fact of the matter is that Marconi have had their measure over the course of the season. They've got their measure in the first half as well, and it's going to take something special to turn the tide. They've still got that big game monkey hanging around their necks at the moment, Rockdale Ilinden, and it's going to take a pretty impressive second half performance to break that cycle which has engulfed them in big games over the past 10 or 20 years.
And the front runners who've in so many games, particularly in the second half of the year, where they have scored the first goal, and that first goal has come in the first half. In fact, of their 11 wins in their past 13 matches, 10 times when they've scored first and it's come in the first half, they've gone on to win the match. So when they get that lead, they become a hard team to peg back. And Rockdale, on the other hand, they've shown a real resilience throughout the season to come from behind and score late winners. In fact, last week against Sydney United 58, they did it late on. They did it in the final 20 minutes. There's a real belief around them. So this is a fascinating second half that's ahead of us. Marconi have a set piece, and they've got Franco Mayer, who's got himself an assist with that left foot. Temelkovsky, such a powerhouse in the air. We've already seen that. Just making sure these defenders are switched on here and they've marked up. Here comes the Franco Mayer free kick aimed towards the near post, and Sorge used all his experience there to cut that one out.
Rockdale defending for their lives here, Tony. Don't want that task to become doubly difficult. Should they go down by 2-0, but it's been a quick start from Marconi to this second half, in contrast to what they were able to muster in the first. Now they turn to the set piece, which has been a fruitful way to goal for them over the course of the season. They've got players like Anton Mlinaric and Nathan Milgate lined up right at the edge of the area, ready to attack this ball from Franco Mayer.
Johnson full position in front of the keeper in Nick Soros. He has flooded that 6-yard box, and ball presence. It's been so good for Rockdale since coming in during the transfer window. Harrison Deveni-Schmeers, who was the keeper 12 months prior, has moved on to the A-League. He's preparing for his season with Sydney FC, and what a custodian to bring in. Sure they don't concede a second here, as this one aims a little bit deeper. Can't get it under the crossbar though, Franco Mayer. Since Marconi will milk all of those set piece opportunities and trying to keep the pressure on Rockdale. They've got the lead. We are going to throw down to our man on the ground in Will Constantinides. Hopefully he's got an update for us from the respective camps.
Yeah, boys, I spoke to both sets of coaches after the halftime break. First with Paul D. He said the message was the same regardless of the goal. He feels they need to do a bit more ball retention and they're turning over the ball too easily in midfield. I asked him about the fitness of Alek Udashevsky. Of course, we know there's a bit of concern over that. Apparently he said yes, and he's up for a full 90. We'll see what happens, even if it goes to extra time. As for Marconi and Peter Tsakenis, he says that there's a bit of passion in this one. It's quite scrappy. As for what he likes from his team so far, he loves their defending. He feels they're doing a good job of making this a tough arm wrestle up front.
Thanks for those insights, Will. Terrific to get the update from the coaches as the ball goes forward now to Udashevsky. And Naric, who's been sweating on him throughout this grand final so far. He's been right up there among the best so far as Milgate heads that one out only as far as Dunsall. Can he line an effort up? Quickly onto him was George Daniel. A couple of important defensive interventions there from the Stallions.
The energiser bunny of this Marconi Stallions team, isn't he? George Daniels made a very successful switch to left full back. Now it's Rockdale's turn from the set piece. They've found some success over the course of the season. Chalakian right in front of the Rockdale supporters.
Prosciutto's come forward. Pelikanos is in there, just over the head of Pelikanos. It's going to fall here to Dunsall. Get some room and space, spreads it out to Kataoka. What about the delivery? Instead they keep possession, and now they whip it in towards Udashevsky. The flag did stay down as well, but just over the head of the main marksman. In the end, comfortable for Hilton.
And that's really been the extent of his work so far tonight, hasn't it, Tony? He's not had a meaningful save to make yet, which will be the most worrying thing for Paul D. They'll usually don't have too many problems creating chances. Marconi have done a brilliant job of limiting them in their attacking third tonight. If they can keep that up for another 40 minutes, they'll be champions.
So much experience in the dugout for the Stallions. And Peter Popoithis, his assistant. As I said earlier in the coverage, they did the double with Sydney Olympic in 2011. Prior to that, 2005, Peter Tsakenis was still a player. He was a player coach at the time. Won it with Bankstown City. They have won a couple of trophies in recent years. Not in the top tier, or certainly not in the NPL. They won the Waratah Cup in 2019 after coming back up. This would really be something. Peter Tsakenis spoke about it in the build-up to the match. How things, trophies are an expectation for a big club like Marconi. They're certainly working their way back up after a lean period. Right now they're in the box seat. Send-off it would be for Nathan Milgate, who's just gone into the back there of Udashevsky. He's yet to taste victory on grand final day. A couple of losses for him while he was at RPR.
A memorable goal against Melbourne Victory in the Australia Cup, FFA Cup as it was then, of course, Tony. He's had such a storied career, Nathan Milgate. Wonderful servant to a couple of clubs across the NPL New South Wales men's, and he's going out right at the top. If he can hoist a trophy, it'll make it all the sweeter.
14 years in the New South Wales National Premier League, 6 years at the Stallions. One of a number of greats that are retiring from the New South Wales National Premier League. I'll give a shout out to the likes of Mitch Stamatelis, a real stalwart. He's announced his retirement as Kataoka looks to combine here with Udashevsky. He couldn't return the pass to Kataoka, and suddenly the Stallions can counter-attack through Jesic and Meyer. Meyer always with that keenness to duck in on that left foot. And get it beyond Sorge. Just going through the list of retiring players. So many. Stamatelis I mentioned, but Chris Lindsay, another Sutherland Sharks player. Roy O'Donovan retiring from Sydney Olympic after 3 years in the New South Wales National Premier League. The former greats of the top tier, Yannis Berakis, Chris Payne, and now Alcoa and Bankstown City respectively, but they've announced their retirement. Tom Whiteside, who was part of the Olympic side in 2018, and one to hang up the boots. As Costanzo looks to turn this one up towards Lenarich, just completing that list. Jared Lum recently announcing his retirement as well from Spirit FC. So some real greats of the game. Wish them all the best with the next chapter in their life. Millgate, he's still got a bit to play for in this second half.
And they're the characters that make us love this league, right, Tony? Players talk about Mitch Stamatellis was part of the Rockdale team that played in the 2020 Grand Final. Has gone to Sutherland and kept them up in his last year. So still achievements for all these players. Yanni Spirakis, what a fantastic servant he was for Alcoa Sydney City East.
Here is Kataoka. Dancing inside, but Bayless cuts it out. Enzo does well, and what about the turn? Tries to find Kataoka between the lines, and his pass. See what the intent was, searching for Urashevsky, trying to get him right on the edge of that Marconi back line.
Hasn't quite come for Alec Urashevsky in the opening 10 minutes of this second half. Couple of balls bouncing off him, then Kataoka just knocking it beyond him. No, Paul D said he's got 90 minutes in his legs. Whether that'll be at full tilt is another story. He's going to have to pick his moments as this game wears on. Already, I thought, looking a little tired towards the end of the first half. Could prove us all wrong and pop up with a goal, of course. He's that good, Alec Urashevsky, but Rockdale have got to find him.
And the assistant coach and Nick Stavroulakis just going across, having a chat to Paul D, and then looks like they have called a couple of players over to the bench. I might throw down to Will Constantinides. Looks like Lachlan Griffiths is one of those potentially getting ready.
Yeah, boys, plenty of movement down here on the benches. They called over a few subs as well, so I'll have to keep a keen eye on exactly who and how many are coming on. But yeah, you get the sense that Paul D isn't happy with how this game is progressing. Marconi still have a relatively strong foothold in possession in the second half, and he doesn't like what he's seeing. He wants to change it up.
Keep an eye on that as play develops with the Stallions, building it up now through George Daniel. Looking inside. Costanzo defending from Constable. Just going rolling the sleeves up and getting his defensive work done. Urashevsky tries to go quickly one-on-one against Millgate, who's making sure he got the body between man and ball. There was a high foot. No intent, but the shooter committed to the challenge.
Fantastic piece of defending there from Millgate, and then Risciuto perhaps showing a little bit of experience just to stick his head into a dangerous area when he tried the free kick.
There's Millgate showing all of his experience there just to get his body between Speranza and the ball. Force the challenge, which Marconi at the moment with that 1-0 lead. And they'll use all the management skills at their disposal, all their experience.
Don't have to worry about that, do we, Tony? But the interesting thing for Rockdale is that there hasn't been a change of system. They've been sticking to what had them in the game in the first half. Things are starting to break more and more the other way. Yesic not able to time his run.
We are getting a couple of substitutes ready. It looks like the word from down on ground level. Will, if I'll throw to you, can you confirm what's happening here?
Yeah, double sub coming for Paul D and Rockdale Ilinden. It's Bay Antonio and Lockie Griffiths coming on, so these are fresh legs that are especially needed, and with Antonio he might be able to add a bit more of attacking impetus up top as Rockdale go about getting this equaliser.
Here's a good pinch here from the Stallions. Now Yesic looking across. Rashuda had to be alert to that because Telmakovsky was sniffing around for any slip up from the Rockdale defence. Antonio has been such an influence coming off the bench for Rockdale in the second half of the year. Had a few issues earlier on in the campaign. His form in the last couple of months has perhaps been career best. And can he spark things up as he has done in recent weeks for Rockdale? He's a defender, we will far as who comes off, but free kick here. Stallions a chance to keep the pressure on.
It's interesting, noted in that Sydney United game, a lot of talk about Urasevsky. It obviously came on and set up the equaliser for Rockdale Ilinden on that day, but by Antonio, his performance in the final half hour was just as telling. I think this is a smart move from Paul D. Go into his bench early, make sure he gives his impact players plenty of time to put their stamp on this grand final. Defending to do first though.
Here's Mayer. His delivery's been the telling point so far in this grand final. This one's comfortable for Nick Soros. Such a key part of last week's preliminary final win. The impact off the bench from Rockdale. Right now they've got the ball where they want it at the feet of Urashevsky. He looks across, waiting for some support once again. Doesn't arrive in time. That's not quite clicking. We saw a little bit of this in the Waratah Cup final, where it didn't quite click in the final third for Rockdale. The substitutes coming on now. One of those coming off is Georgia Esperanza. The other one is Pelicanos. So we're going to see a bit of an adjustment. Likely to see Blake Rasciuto move into the midfield. Defense will come on in the centre of defence. So that's the grand final done for both Esperanza and Pelicanos, as they'll get a chance to launch one through Urashevsky's long throw. And they pick up the pieces here through Chalakian, who's sitting on 9 goals for the campaign, hoping to hit the double figures on the big occasion. You see Rockdale just drop back into their formation here with Rasciuto dropping alongside Daniel Collins.
They've got to be careful here, Marconi. The game is firmly within their grasp. They've had control of the pattern of play in this second half for large parts. One thing they have had a habit of doing a couple of times, an unhealthy one, is just sitting back on leads that they've established for themselves. There's no 4-goal lead tonight, Tony. Just a single goal scored by James Timilkovsky towards right in the shadows of half-time. Need to make sure they keep playing forward, keep being aggressive with the ball in possession, and keep being aggressive with their press as they've been here.
So the adjustment from Paul D is that Sol Kataoka has gone into the midfield along with Downsol and Chalakian. Rivers has gone into left back, and Bay Antonio now on the left-hand side of the attack. Here's Kataoka. Can he provide a spark through the middle? He's looking for maybe a little bit more creativity. On that occasion, the pass from Sorge was short. Now Timilkovsky.
And that's what I mean, Tony, by those balls going backwards. Timilkovsky clearly trying to just keep the ball there, and he's turned it over in a dangerous area.
Here's Bay Antonio looking to inject immediate impact off the bench.
He's done it again.
Ping the Stallions back. Just past the hour mark. And it's Rockdale trying to work their way back into this. That was a heavy challenge, this time from Vela. Surely he's going to join those in Sam Kelly's book. The referee's probably been left with no choice on this occasion. That was a fierce challenge from an experienced defender.
There was no chance of him pulling out, was there? Decided that he's going to get the ball or the man. Actually caught a little bit of both there, but Chalakian had got his body in the way. He's got plenty of blows in the back of his legs over the course of his career. He's still buzzing around. He was a big part of Rockdale's comeback last weekend as well. Managed to play out the 90 minutes and was highly influential all the way to the dying stages. He's going to need to be that again here for Paul D and Nick Stavroulakis as we seek towards full time.
He provides the telling pass. He's already got himself 12 assists in season 2024. He's got a crucial one a couple of weeks ago for Alek Urashevsky. One of the targets. Urashevsky's in there. And he pick up the ball on the edge of the box. He can look to go quickly into transition. clearing that ball. Yes, he was. Antonio leaving a bit on him.
There's no length on him in the second half. Nathan Milgate's been so key defensively. They're just making sure he got to the ball before the fresh legs of Antonio. Locked it into the big centre half, who's got some heavy hits over the course of his career, but to his feet. Marconi now. We needed 25 minutes to see it out. The temptation is to sit back on this lead. The temptation is to knock it long when they've got the opportunity. Need to be sure that they're still getting the ball forward quickly, doing the things that have seen them take the lead in this grand final, seen them been so successful, over the course of the second half of this season, where they have been the form team in the competition.
Showing their flexibility as far as their formation is concerned. They tend to stick to the same formation, moving personnel around, and they've slotted Kataoka into the midfield. He can provide a spark. Olszewski quickly onto him was Mlinaric, and there's another coming together. Really that game plan to try and put Olszewski off his game. He's on a yellow card, so he's got to be really careful walking the tightrope. Only 20 minutes into the second half, the atmosphere is electric here.
Rockdale driving their side on, aren't they? Those supporters down that end. Anton Mlinaric has made himself the antagonist in the story from their point of view. Been very, very effective for his team. It would be fitting if Marconi can claim this championship with a clean sheet. Best defensive team all year.
A bit of push and shove again inside the box. So Kelly's got more work to do to sort out. Shudo and Franco Maya. Do well to finish this with 11 v 11. The way some of these confrontations are going. Going on. And he's trying to find himself a little bit of room inside the box. Yesic trying to push the Marconi defence up. They don't want to drop deep and invite pressure onto James Hilton. And it comes. It's Daniel. And it's Chalakian, the player fouled. He's not happy with the attention he's getting. So he's got to have another word.
He's been in the wars tonight, Brendan Chalakian. That's a big consequence of his good work getting between the lines. Marconi have had no choice at times but to go through the back of him. Dom Costanzo lights in on him there, and now Sam Kelly just bringing together the two captains to have a word. It won't be a one-way conversation, that's for sure, with those two next to the referee, Tony. But I think that will be the final warning. Calming down, or the cards are coming back out, as we saw in the opening 10 or 15 minutes. They were flying out of his pocket.
Get the delivery right. The midway point of the second half. No change to the half-time score. Stallions up 1-0. It's Kataoka too close to Hilton. And again it's Rashudo. Milgate wasn't impressed with what he left on the keeper. And there's another situation for the officials to deal with again. Olszewski and Mlinaric come together. Are we going to get some football, as it's really got heated the midway point of the second half?
Well, if logic sits in the mix, Tony, and there's no indication that it still does out there, this all suits Marconi. Plays right into their hands with his goal advantage. Yellow card out of Sam Kelly's pocket again. Anton Mlinaric and Alek Urasevsky have become very well acquainted this evening. The yellow card, I think, will go to Nathan Milgate and Blake Rashuto, who knew exactly what he was doing. He left his foot in there on James Hilton, there's no doubt about it.
Two of the more experienced defenders now have to see out the match. The tally of yellow cards just continues to pile up. A couple of Rockdale defenders, Braden Sorge and Daniel Collins on a, in fact, Shooter on a yellow card, and Nathan Milgate draws Brandon Vella as well.
It's been like a boxing referee tonight, hasn't he, Sam Kelly? He's been breaking them all up. Together we come again. 20 minutes left.
Two teams that are really trying to impose themselves and be the top gun, so to speak. Finishing the season first, Marconi were chasing it. The opportunity to win a championship, though, certainly one that will go down in history for the club. A long time between drinks for both of these clubs, and Rockdale now looking to hit back. Prosciutto getting forward, and what about the work from the skipper there, Marko Jesic, playing in the top third, but working all the way back there to deny Prosciutto and track the defender as he came forward.
A heroic piece of defending, Tony. For a player so adept in an attacking manner, showing that sort of effort, it tells you what it means to the Stallions captain.
Here comes a resulting corner. Chalakian whips this one into a dangerous area. Unfortunately for Hilton, it fell straight at the feet of a teammate. Dunsall with a straight ball this time, comfortable for Hilton. One to execute.
Even for a player of Isaac Danzo's quality. Have to weight that absolutely perfectly. With the ball spilling out, there were still a few Rockdale players retreating from offside positions.
So Alex, we're at the stage we were last week in the preliminary final. 1-0 against Rockdale. This is really when they started to turn it on. Those 3 goals in the last 20 minutes. They were at home. They've got such a proud record at the Rockdale Ilinden Sports Centre. They haven't been as effective when they have played on turf surfaces. We've seen that at Marconi the last couple of years. We've also seen that at Nostrada, where they lost to Sydney Olympic this year, as well as the Waratah Cup final. Can they do the business here as Kataoka comes forward? Looking for a double, which is such a rare feat in our New South Wales top flight. Kataoka shakes off Bowman in the midfield, starting to get some touches since moving into the centre of the pitch is Kataoka. And Tony wins the corner.
These changes from Rockdale have asked more questions of Marconi defensively. We've seen Marko Jesic get back to make that last-ditch challenge. Dom Costanzo coming in to lend a hand from the far side. There's no doubt that Rockdale have seized this impetus back, and they're starting to create more subtle switches from Paul D. But they're starting to take a little bit of roots.
Rocky Griffiths, the substitute in the box. This one's aimed towards the back post. Hilton. Come back again. Only blocking the delivery from Dunsall. It's excellent defending again from the Stallions. Looks like Rockdale are going to go to their bench again. They're going to make another 2 changes. Yinka, Sun Mola, Hunter Elliott, 2 players that are going to come on. So Elliott will be a direct swap for Braden Sorge. Hoping to add some attacking impetus down that right-hand side. In fact, the 2 changes are coming on that far side. Lachlan Constable's the other player that's made way. So Yinka Sanamola will go into that number 7 role on the right-hand side.
Hunter Elliott was superb last weekend. He's had a terrific season, his first year in Rockdale colours. Same situation for Yinka Sanamola, was unlucky not to get on the score sheet, hitting the post after starting in the big boots of Alec Jurasevsky last week. Now he plays alongside him in that front 3.
2024 NPL Men's New South Wales Grand Final. It's the Stallions who lead it by 1-0. It's a famous scoreline for this club. It was a scoreline where they won a grand final here back in 1989. In fact, the 1992-93 victory against Adelaide City was also to the tune of 1-0. Andy Harper, the Marconi scorer on that occasion. Stands were packed here. Some bumper occasions at this famous arena, New Parramatta Stadium. Such a proud record for championships at a national level. 3 times New South Wales top tier champions. And at a 4th in the box seat. So good at managing games. Making it very difficult for Rockdale to find any fluency.
Marconi with this leader taking advantage. They haven't made a substitution yet. 4 of the bench players. It's all for Paul D. Only Bray Ovens left in reserve from an outfield perspective. He was the one who scored that absolutely brilliant goal last week to seal Rockdale's place in this grand final.
Again, it's Yesic doing the pressing in the front third. Costanzo. Hunter Elliott with the fresh leg skips around him. Now he looks to link up with his fellow substitute and son Mola. The room now in the midfield. And he's starting to drop. This gives Rockdale the opportunity to try and unlock the defence. To find some connection, fluency in that front third. A pass like that. And you'll be pleased with what they're seeing so far. Here's Bayless. For the switch out to Costanzo, who can go one-on-one now against the freshman in Elliott. The season where he's managed to hit the double figures mark. Of course, his dad, a former Marconi player, Dominic has spoken about going one better than his father. 4 years at Marconi, he wasn't able to win a trophy. And Dominic is keen to go one better as things stand. Just be doing that. It was great to see Angelo out at the Palace last week. I understand that he's making the trip back for the grand final today as well, so a famous name. It's also great to hear from Noel Arate this morning, Marconi captain back in 2012, who lifted the trophy the last time his club tasted success. So terrific names of yesterday. So much tradition, so much success.
Could be very close to writing their own new chapter here. This group of players, Tony, just under a quarter of an hour to play. Marko Jesic is about to enter a storyline of taking the team up from their lowest point in the second division in the New South Wales NPL. It might be just moments away from lifting a championship trophy.
Here's Kataoka looking for Urushevsky. Hasn't had too much room and space. Can he find the delivery? Just enough on that from Millgate. He tried to shape it around Millgate, but Millgate got a little toe on that. And that helped it go through to Hilton. He's been terrific, Millgate.
He has. He's been fantastic. But the counterpoint to that, it's all just been a little bit tentative from Rockdale once they have got in the final third in this second half. Urushevsky's broken the line a couple of times. Hasn't looked as though he's had full commitment to the option he's taking inside. And that could still change, of course, but time really is running out for Rockdale. And Marconi are looking more and more confident as this second half wears on that their defence is going to be able to hold up, keep this clean sheet and secure the championship.
No changes yet for the Stallions, but it looks like they are getting busy down on the sideline. We'll go down to Will Constantinides, see if we can get an update, see what the Stallions are up to.
Yeah, boys, Marconi going to the bench for the first time tonight. The fresh legs of Rockdale have made a difference. It's going to be Popovic coming on in place of Mayer, and that's an expected sub. Mayer's had to do a lot of tracking back and a bit of tired legs on the wing. They need a refresher if they're going to hold out this one.
It was a change that we did see last week. Thank you for the update, Will. Miroslav Popovic, a former national youth team player. Mayer has certainly played his part, and with Marconi fans that are gathered here, will give him a big reception.
Caps off a wonderful first year for the Stallions.
There's plenty of rumours circulating around his future. Rumours of potential A-League interest. There's so much around the NPL New South Wales, such as the quality
Well, you just look across these two squads, Tony. Plenty of players who are capable of making the step up to that level. Plenty of had offers and turn them down. So there's no question about the quality we're seeing out here in the Combank Stadium tonight.
We mentioned Hiroaki Oyama, who's been a real star of the league the last couple of years, and making the move across to Perth Glory. Go forward here to Danso. He's also attracting plenty of interest. His performances over the last couple of years certainly dictate that there would and should be interest from a player who came through Spanish development systems at Levante. So he is the real tick-attacker, the base of the midfield, and he's done well to win Rockdale a free kick. Had a number of these situations in the second half, Alex. Can they find the quality? Can they find the execution? They'll believe as we enter the final 10 minutes.
The quality of these set pieces got to be better, Tony. So Gataoka's not been able to find the target just yet. He's going to have a chance or two more.
Collins is in there. Rashudo makes the run. He attacks it here, Collins, and he gets his header on target. But it's comfortable for Hilton. A little bit better there from Gataoka. At least he found a teammate. Not quite the power and direction that Collins would have hoped for.
Always difficult with that ball swinging away from goal for a player attacking it to get the sort of power that they're looking for, particularly how far out Daniel Collins was there. But pressure mounting again for Rockdale. They're just having these periods before Marconi are able to snuff it out and sort of take the impetus off them. They've really blunted what has been such a dangerous attack over the course of the season. It can all change in a single moment, of course, but at the moment the Stallions very much favourites in my eyes.
Here is Chalakian finding a bit of room. We haven't seen too much of that in the second period. And now Urushevsky. Quickly onto him was Mlinaric. He got him into a acute angle, exactly where you want Urushevsky one-on-one. And Mlinaric is having a bit to say as well. Letting Urushevsky know about that.
It's been a superb individual battle they've had, and Anton Mlinaric is looking as though he's going to have a claim of shutting down the league's most dangerous attacker.
He's going to be an attacker. Speaking of attackers, Bray Ovens, the player who has really made an influence off the bench in the last couple of games for Rockdale Ilinden. He's been a standout for them in their under-20s campaign. Almost hitting the 20-goal mark. Been so prolific in the last couple of weeks. He's scored goals. He's got the sniff about him as far as the goal scoring is concerned. And you bring that momentum here to Rockdale. And Collins is the player that's been replaced. Now it's Chalakian trying to find Bayantonio. That well by Marconi. They've been really attuned to their defensive responsibility.
Popovic's got to be very careful. He doesn't start overplaying in those sorts of areas. Lachlan Griffiths has gone back into the centre of defence. It's almost a back three now for Rockdale. By Antonio's your left wing back. That tells you all about how much they're focusing on defending, which is not much, Tony. And why would they with just over 7 minutes to play of this grand final? Chasing the goal.
Spread the play quickly out to Costanzo. Give him the opportunity, one-on-one. Great turn inside, Costanzo. And now the pieces. It falls to Jesic, and he's surely now sealed it for the Stallions. They're going to go away and celebrate. Their skipper popping up with the pieces, and they take a 2-0 lead. What about the work again of Dominic Costanzo on that far side? And Jesic, who's been everywhere for the Stallions, was right on spot to score his 20th of the campaign.
Well, Tony, you've talked about some of the legends of this football club over the course of the broadcast tonight. Marko Jesic has just written his name into the Stallions' history. His 20th league strike of the season is his most important. Wearing the captain's armband and standing up when his team needed him to seal the victory. You'd have to think now it will take an absolute miracle for Rockdale to make it up and send it to extra time.
Marconi with one hand on the championship trophy.
They've absorbed plenty in the second half. They've been happy to sit back in the main. But when they got it one-on-one to Costanzo, as they did late in the first half, they've been able to prove the difference with his qualities. He took on Hunter Elliott. He got the ball into a dangerous area. And then it was the follow-up work of Jesic after the initial attempt. Rockdale. A real task ahead of them here. Still time though, if they can get one back quick, they could turn, as we've seen so often in NPL New South Wales over the years. Marconi, who are so good in a front runner scenario. Ray Ovens certainly adds an aerial threat with his height. Ball just hasn't fallen to Rockdale in the final third.
Not been clinical enough. As we said in the Waratah Cup final, Tony, it's been a very similar case here tonight. Not been able to create enough. Really haven't forced James Hilton into a meaningful save, which is saying something. Alec Urashevsky coming back from that hamstring injury. You question how much of an impact that's had at the wrong time of the season. And the Jalakians' influence has been negated for the most part by a strong defensive display from the two central midfielders.
Final 5 minutes of regular time. That's from Timokovsky and Jesic, their front two. Their two top scorers. Defensive unit so often comes out on top, and Marconi, you can see the 35, looks like they are going to get another of their substitutes ready here. Cole Chimenti will play out another attacking option. Since it might be one of the front two who makes way.
Fitting as well, Tony, that they're the two to get the goals. So reliant on them over the course of the season, Marconi, and they've delivered again when it's counted. Fantastic first season together up front. It's going to end with a big piece of silverware.
12 years they've waited. You can see that change now. It is going to be Timokovsky, the first goal scorer. What a first season it's been. A bit of injuries, a few suspensions, but a return. A productive return. 18 goals in only 24 starts. He came here promising goal a game. He's not been far off it, but he's produced big goals in big moments, showing his quality in the front third, and he's certainly one to watch across the Australian football scene. James Timokovsky, spoken about the legend in Zlatko Nastevsky, who did the business in the late 80s. Well, there are new legends being written in the annals of Marconi history.
Talk about scoring those big games, Tony. He's fourth against Rockdale this season. An unfortunate incident here. Looks as though Anton Mlinaric's night is going to be over just before the final whistle, which is a shame because he's been so critical. Doing the defensive work against Alec Urashevsky. We talked about he and Nathan Milgate's partnership, which has grown over the course of the season, similarly to Timokovsky and Marko Jesic down the other end of the field, but can't understate his influence on this team in his first season in Marconi Green.
Looks like Cameron Windust, his first season at the Stallions after making the move across from the Central Coast Mariners. He will come on late for Mlinaric, and we start to turn our attention to the Robbie Slater medal, of course, and whether it might be one of the defenders. They've kept a clean sheet. Those two have been superb, but also the front two of Jesic and Timokovsky have been outstanding. Costanzo, his influence with two important plays.
The hockey assists, if you want, Tony, right? That beautiful switch for Franco Myers cross onto James Timokovsky's head, and then he comes up with that telling ball.
which Marko Jesic is able to tap in from close range. So certainly he's one I might have there on my voting sheet. I think Nathan Milgate's been superb. If this is his final game in NPL New South Wales men's football, what a fantastic way to cap off such a superb career after waiting so long for a championship. It's a fairy tale.
Stallions just about got their hands on it. Final minute of regular time. There's been a number of stoppages, a number of substitutions. It's not been Rockdale's night. They've really struggled in that front third. Struggled to really get the support around Urushevsky as well. In those wide areas and Sunnola. Like last week, they did get plenty of impact as the board goes up to indicate 7 minutes. So still time. There have been so many stoppages and all those changes as well. And time still.
I want something here, Rockdale. The crowd that have gathered on that side of the pitch have been very subdued in the second half.
There's going to be a loose ball here for Chalakian. Quickly onto him was Jesic again. He's been superb not only in an attacking sense but defensively. He's pressing and sets the press up for the Stallions. He's such a clever player, having a coach out there in the front third as Chalakian looks to turn now. Gets it out to Bay Antonio. And like last week, they've really struggled with substitutes to make an impact for Rockdale this evening.
So you can only credit Marconi. Their setup tonight has been perfect. They didn't fly out of the blocks, as has been their want in these big games over the course of the season, but they adjusted as the game went on. Lots of stop-start action in the opening half hour or so. And were able to work their way into the game, take the opportunity just before half-time, and then have not gone away from the principles that got them there over the course of the second half. It really has been a terrific grand final display, and all credit must go to Peter Sukenis for the way he set up his side again tonight.
Looks like the manager might just be having a chat to the fourth official, maybe getting a couple of substitutes ready. I might throw down to Will Constantinides, see if we can find out what's going on there between Danny Horsted and Peter Sukenis.
Yeah, guys, there's a bit of confusion as to whether Marconi have another sub that they can make. I think on that last substitution that went through for Windass, they might have wanted to make a double sub, but actually might have rushed things and didn't get the second man on. So we'll keep an eye on whether they can still make one. I think they should be able to, but yeah, confusing times down here for Marconi. You'd think they'd be comfortable.
Here's another opportunity now for Popovic. He looks around the keeper and he seals it for the Stallions. This is going to be the famous victory. Popovic makes it 3-0 and the Stallions are going to march on to a title. Confusion on the centre line. They thought that Chalakian was fouled Rockdale, but play was allowed to go on. And Popovic kept his calm and composure. He rounded the keeper. And it's been all Marconi here. They're going to celebrate this one long and hard.
And so now we turn to the story. The crime after the fall for the Marconi Stallions, relegated less than a decade ago, have fought their way back to the top table. And now they're going to be sitting at the head of it after a superb grand final performance. And it's Miloslav Popovic, who popped up with so many important goals off the bench early in the season, who adds his name to the score sheet and to history.
Stallions have done this in style. Got the goal late in the first half. They've absorbed everything that Rockdale have thrown at them. Rockdale haven't been able to create the chances. In fairness, it's been fairly comfortable for Marconi. And they've gone on late on to score another two. Party at the Palace tonight will kick on long. time for Rockdale to try and get a late consolation. Their season's been wonderful. Finished as premiers. They were hoping to do the double. They felt that they deserved it given the quality that they have produced throughout 2024. But as we've seen so many occasions, it is so hard. You've set yourself out for the premiership and you've done that to shift the mindset. As Chalakian putting some pressure there on Hilton, but illegally so.
This is not too serious for James Hilton. He's had such a wonderful season. Played every game at the back for them. Just watching a replay of this goal, how Miloslav Popovic sums it up. Still had a lot of work to do when the ball came to him. Soros did well to get out quickly. But that's a real striker's instinct, isn't it, Tony?
You can see that he's certainly played at a good level in the national youth team setups, and he spent some time overseas. It's been that kind of quality that Peter Tsakenis has brought in the season 2024. Some thought that they might not be there come the business end of the season, but when you saw the quality that they recruited, the way that they've built the average age down of the squad, it's been a real build year on year. And stand ready.
Well, that wasn't Sam Kelly's whistle. They've got to be careful there. The players in the technical area. Someone's picked out a whistle in the crowd, caught a few out.
Stand ready to celebrate a big occasion. In the lean period, 12 years they've had to wait. Gate launches it long. It's been right up there as far as performances are concerned in this one. Now Chalakian. He finds Urushevsky. This time it's Windass sweating on him. Frustration continues for the Rockdale captain. He's been wonderful, not only this season but over the last few seasons. Today has just not been his and his team's day. You have not let them breathe. And there's going to be a foul. This time against the youngster in Elliott, who's going to go into the book. Frustration mounts again for the premiers. George Daniel and Costanzo look for the immediate switch, but the referee wasn't quite ready for that to be taken.
Plenty of smiling faces on that Marconi bench at the moment, aren't they, Tony?
They're ready to party, and it's going to go long and loud over at the Palace. Fans, the atmosphere's been wonderful here. It's been a great occasion. And that is it. The Stallions are back where they feel they belong. At the top of the pile. They win a fourth New South Wales top tier title. And they do it at a place where they've had so much success in the past. Parramatta Stadium, a place where they've won 3 national titles. And they've done it with a comprehensive display against the premiers. Marko Jesic and his team, who are down in the second tier, they've worked their way back up. They've built and built, and they've got their reward in season 2024. Alex, fitting champions.
100%, Tony, and proves again how difficult it is to do the double in this league. Rockdale just not at the same level tonight. Marconi was stifled in the early stages. Certainly wasn't a game that played into their hands particularly, but they won the big moments, as always these grand finals are about. And it's so funny, so many different stories throughout it, but James Demolkovsky brought to the club to try and get them to, and then winning games like this. Marko Jesic, who's been there for the entire climb since their relegation to the second tier in Peter Tsakenis' first season
bringing them back up to the top table. And then Miloslav Popovic has been added this year to give them that extra depth that they felt they needed. They've lent on it tonight. Anton Mlinaric, another one brought in alongside Nathan Milgate, who goes into retirement with a fairy tale of his own. There are so many good stories around this victory for the Marconi Stallions and their long-suffering supporters. I think it's fair to say that, given what they've had to go through between their last championship and this one. It is good to see one of the biggest clubs in Australia back where they belong.
Big occasion for the Marconi Stallions. Peter Tsakinis, he's had to wait for another championship after a couple. Former clubs Bankstown City and Sydney Olympic. He was charged with the responsibility of getting the ship right, steering it back up to the top tier. He had his trusted and faithful assistant in Peter Popoithis. They brought in Manny Spanadakis in recent times as well. And they've just continued to build and build. There's been an extra motivation. The 250 games for Brandon Vella a couple of weeks ago. Last week, Marko Jesic. And this week, Nathan Milgate with his announcement of retirement. And after losses in 2017 and 2018, it is an incredible way to go out a winner for... There's always a storyline,
yes,
and it's a good one for Nathan Milgate on his final game.
100%. You know, such a terrific performance from him tonight, alongside Anton Mlinaric. And I think we're just about to cross down, Tony, to the presentations. I'll let you wrap up.
It has been an incredible occasion here. We've had a wonderful performance from the Marconi Stallions. They did the business with a goal late in the first half and then 2 in the second half. We are going to throw down to Will Constantinides, who's got some player interviews.
Guys, we're here. We're going to get Marko Jesic's words in just a moment. It's all going off down here. We'll just wait. Is the man of the moment right now, Marko Jesic. Marko, you've been with this club for so long. You went down with them. You've been through the slogs. What does this win mean for you and for the club?
Look, I think for the club it's a big thing. It's been a while since we won the championship, but no one's talking about the good stuff we've done this year. You know, we're the only team that's beaten the big dogs, and we haven't lost to Rockdale all year, so I think in the back of the head we had the 9-0 defeat, but I think the biggest thing for us this year was everyone doubted us from the start. All the podcast people, all the journos, everyone who thinks they know football said we'll finish the lower part of the table. You know what? This one's for you guys. You made us through Hungary, so that's for you. It's up yours.
And talk me through the feeling, that second goal, it basically sealed the win. What were the emotions like? I could see it from all the way on the other side.
Look, to be honest, it hasn't really sunk in yet. I couldn't tell you, but you know, we've worked hard all year. It's been 10 months of grueling work. The pre-season, our Brett Studman, our strength and conditioning coach, put us through the paces. The training's been tough, and it's prepared us mentally for games like this. You know, look, Rockdale's a good side, no doubt about it. They're a very good side, and they kept pushing us. But we had the resilience, the discipline, the character. Character's a big word I'm going to use because that's something that we got that a lot of people don't have. Again, going back to people doubting us, that's character. You know, it never got to our heads. So, again, look, I'm proud of the boys, man. We've proved everyone wrong. We knew we were going to go through with it, and, you know, look, it was just our night. That's how it is.
Big night at the Palace ahead?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, we'll get this underway, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Congratulations again. Marko Jesic, the winning skipper, everyone.
Great to hear from the Marconi skipper. And what about the motivation? As I said during the coverage, there was a few people writing him, you know, the club off, saying that they will finish outside the top 6, but they used that as motivation, and that has sparked a terrific victory here. We're going to throw back down to Will, who's got one of the...
Guys, I've been brought back here. I've been told I'm going to ask another question of Marko. Marko, who's your favourite coach?
Flea in second. No one beats him.
Good scenes down here, guys. We'll try and get Nathan Milgate as well. Just two questions. Congratulations.
One more year.
Guys, we're here with Nathan Millgate. A big emotional night for him, his last game with the club, but what a way to send it off.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what to say, to be honest. Like, it's so good to finish up like this, but yeah, I've lost two elite grand finals. To win the third one and go out like this, I couldn't think of a better way to go out.
And what a battle it was out there at the heart of the defence. Tell us, it was really physical. We could tell from the sideline.
Yeah, there's been some words said in both games previously. We always knew it was going to be a tough game, and we're ready for it. But yeah, lucky enough we came out on top today. So.
And what does this win mean for the club? I spoke to Marco a bit before. You know, he knows how much it means. It's been hard work. Can you tell us from your perspective?
Yeah, it has been. Like, I don't think they've won since the 12 years, but that was a goal when I came here 6 years ago, was to win a grand final. We finally got there. It's taken 6 years, but yeah. So.
Well, congratulations. Enjoy the celebrations.
14 years in the New South Wales top flight, and he bows out a champion after those losses in 2017 with Apia and 2018 as well with Apia. Made the move across, and look at the result of that. You can see the emotion on his face, and fittingly so. There's going to be a big party. It's been a long time coming, this, for the Stallions, and so many players and coaches in that squad and club.
So many good stories, Tony. I think, you know, that's the thing we focus on as people who observe this competition. You're looking to pull those good stories out of it, and Nathan Millgate is the epitome of that this season. Someone who's waited so long for a highlight like this in his career. He's been a terrific servant to this competition, let alone the two clubs he's played for. So fantastic to see that emotion, and such a quietly, softly spoken guy as well. Fantastic to see those fans drinking in the celebrations with the players who've made their way over to that side of the pitch. Some fantastic scenes here from CommBank Stadium, which has been a fitting host for this biggest of NPL New South Wales men's games. Been fantastic to observe it with you tonight, Tony, and glad to, you know, bring another terrific story from this competition to you at home.
As we go down to James Temelkovski.
Good to hear you go. We're here with James Temelkovski, the man who got the first of Marconi's three. James, what a first season with the club.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable season. I can't ask for anything more. We won what we wanted to set out to be as a trophy this final series, and look, I'm in shock, to be honest with you, but I'm so happy.
It was a hard slog out there. It was really physical up front for you. You could see it was a hard battle with the Rockdale defence. What was the key to winning that battle tonight?
Look, we knew the pitch was a bit moist and wet, so we couldn't really move the ball much. So we aimed for the pockets and hit him on the back foot, and we finished our chances, and that's what really got him open. And we won the game at the end, so it was good for us.
In your first season here, I've spoken to Marco and Millsy. They've been around. They've had that, you know, hard experience with the club. As someone who's come in this season, what does this win mean for you personally?
Oh, it's massive, because I came from South Australia. I tried to prove a point there, and I thought I did. And I've tried to prove a point here, and hopefully I did now. So, and I missed 10 games. People don't know that. I missed a lot of games this season. And to win a trophy now, for first season, hopefully it proves a point.
Perfect. Thank you so much, James. Congratulations.
Great work from a man down on the ground. Will Constantinides picking up an interview with the man they call JT, James Temelkovski. 27 goals last year in the South Australian National Premier League. He won a premiership there for Metro Stars. He's come over here to make a name for himself and a statement. We're just looking at the replay here as terrific goal.
Well, his movement off the ball is something to be studied by young players. It's been as impressive as anything he's done with it at his feet, and there have been some belting goals this season from James Temelkovski. But his movement there as Franco Meyer came back inside, he pulls off the back of the defence and then manages to stick that ball in. Marco Jesic, Johnny on the spot. It's just years of experience led him to being in that spot at that moment to get that big goal for the Marconi Stallions, and what a cap on his little journey with the Stallions back to the top of the tree.
And another finish here from Miloslav Popovic to round the keeper. The attention might have been at halfway for some of the players from Rockdale, but Marconi weren't hanging around. They were there to pick up another goal and seal the 3-0 victory, and the scenes of celebration, they will go long into the night over at the Marconi Club. They've come together on a bus, and you sense Imagine being on that bus on the way home. There's going to be one party.
Exactly right. I don't know where Peter Seguinis is going to find himself amongst that, but the feeling is he might be shoved down the back.
And we're going to go down to our MC for the presentation.
Men's and women's clubs who have joined us here today. Football New South Wales would also like to thank our very important sponsors. Their support is invaluable. Kappa, Wholesale Trophies, 9 Ad Manager, International Sport College Australia, Pixelot, and the official ball sponsor for the 2024 NPL season, MITA. Thank you for your contributions. On now to our presentations. If you could please help me in welcoming our special guest here for this evening, Football New South Wales CEO, John Satsamas. Football New South Wales Chair, Gilbert Lorkay. Gentlemen, thank you for being here with us this evening. Our first award to present is the Player of the Match. This has been voted on by today's Football New South Wales journalists, and the Player of the Match is awarded to the player who epitomised that winning spirit at the most important moment. From the Marconi Stallions for 2024 in the NPL Men's Grand Final, it is James Temelkovsky.
I'd like to say thanks, Rockdale, for a great match. We knew it was going to be a tough match. But to the boys over here, we dug deep all season. We trained so hard, and we played so hard as well. And especially to the fans, thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed the game. And thank you very much.
Thank you, James, and congratulations on your Player of the Match award. Well deserved, of course, the first scorer here for this grand final. I'd now like to turn our attention to acknowledging the referees who officiated tonight's grand final. We don't have a game without them. All of our officials have done a wonderful job across 2024. Would you please welcome our lead referee, Sam Kelly. Assistant referee, Cameron Wright. Assistant referee, Patrick Telecki. And our fourth official, Danny Horsted. Well done, and thank you to our match officials, not just tonight, but throughout the entire season. It's now time to move on to our runners-up medals. Could I please have the captain, Alex Urasevsky, to make a short speech for the players and also the coaching staff from Rockdale Ilinden.
Firstly, to Marconi, well done. You did what you needed to get the win. Congratulations. Enjoy the night. To the fans, you made the atmosphere beautiful. Unreal. Boys, super proud. It's not easy, 30 rounds. You're still the champs. Enjoy the night and we'll go again. Medals. Chock. Dean. Bay. Good. Lockie. Griff. DC. Let's go. Good. Sorgi. Danzo. Well done. Cyrus. Gray. Yinka. Well done. Well done. Class. Yinka. Rizzo. G. Hunter. Lakey. So. Cords. Get up there, son. Robbie. How many more do we have? Paul D. Nick Stav. Veds. Ange. all right? Well done. Danny. Good moment. River.
Alec, thank you very much, and congratulations once again to Rockdale Ilinden, our runners-up for today, but overall premiers, of course, in 2024. It's now time to move on to our champions' medals, the big moment here. Could I please invite up to the stage from the Marconi Stallions, your victorious captain, Marko Jesic.
Firstly, thanks to Rockdale. You guys didn't give up. You guys kept pushing us to the last minute. You know, you had us on the back foot, but credit to you guys. You've done well just tonight. Tonight was your night. So good luck for next season, guys. To our fans, thanks for everyone sticking around, especially our fans. You guys the fucking best. The fucking best. To all the players, unbelievable, man. I led you out all year. I couldn't ask for a better bunch of players. All the coaching staff, the directors, the CEOs, the presidents, Flea, Seka, my favourite coaches. All right. This one's for us. Everyone's doubted us from the start, guys. Everyone doubted us. No one gave us an opportunity, so this one's for you. Thank you very much. Millsy, Bayless, Jimmy, Wendy, Yuki, Mate, Patty, Papa, JT, the Warden, Anton, Chimmers, Georgie, Bowser, Mr. Vella, Mr. Dom Costanzo, Franco, okay. Okay. All countries? Seka. Flea. I'm going to play. What do you got left? Okay. Manny. Anthony. Johnny, Leroy. Thank you. How many you got left? Who's left? Who's left? Yuli, come up. Get up! Oh. What do you got left? Leroy, I called you up. Come on. Leroy. Leroy.
Marko, thank you. There's only one step left now, ladies and gentlemen. That is, of course, to lift this illustrious trophy. They've been fighting hard for it all season, 30 rounds, plus the final here, of course. A hard-fought task, 3-0 for Marconi Stallions to take it out. And in just a moment, they'll be able to lift what they have desired for so long. Get behind your team here. Led by a very proud Marko Jesic. It does take the entire squad to pull it through, along with the coaching staff, the managers, and a very proud supporter base. This is the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Your champions for 2024 are the Marconi Stallions!
A big congratulations to Peter Tsakenis, Marko Jesic and the entire squad, and in fact the entire club. Marconi, a club steeped in history and tradition, dating back to the late 1950s. They've had so much success on both the national stage, and they are back at the top of the New South Wales stage. And I think of the likes of Leroy, the two Roberts. I know Robert Flippen, who's been at the club for a long, long time, many a decade. He's overseas at the moment, but these are the club people that have been there through the periods of really downtime. So what does it mean for the club to be back at the top?
Well, that's this is the payment for all those years of service, and as we know, these community clubs don't exist without volunteers and people who pour blood, sweat and tears into the club without too much reward for a lot of the time. These are the moments that most of those people are working towards, and that's a massive payoff for Marconi. We've talked about it through the broadcast. The relegation, the blow that had on the club as a whole, the promotion back to the top tier, and then they've been through a couple of heartbreaks since then as well. So great for them to finally pick up that big piece of silverware. They got that Waratah Cup a few years ago, of course, but this is the big cherry on top of what has been a terrific ride for the Stallions over the past decade or so. A terrific chapter in their history.
Yeah, we do have to also tip our hat to Rockdale Ilinden. They've had an outstanding season 2024, where they finished as the premiers with a massive 23 wins out of 30 matches. Not to be, they, like so many others, weren't able to complete the double, but they will be back. It's been a pleasure to have your company throughout the coverage, not only tonight, but throughout the years. So many people to thank, our crew from Sportscast who provide the footage and right throughout the season, but also our commentary team, our team at Football New South Wales, whether they're producing match reports, taking the photos, or they're on the socials. And there's a cast of many to thank. But Alex, it's been a pleasure to have you with me for the coverage as well, the grand final. We've done some big games, but this is a big moment for Marconi, and it's been a pleasure to deliver it to our audience.
Couldn't agree more, Tony. Bring on season 2025. Cannot wait.
For now, we're going to wrap up the coverage here. The Marconi Stallions are our 2024 NPL Men's New South Wales champions.